Hi everyone, my name is Parul. Welcome to my channel Parul English Lab. Today we are going to look at causative verbs. I'll tell you different types of causative verbs and how they can be used in different sentences. So this is going to be an important topic for all of you. So please watch this video till the end and let's get started. 5 most common causative verbs are have, get, let, make and help. They look like normal verbs, but when they are used in a causative way, then they have a different purpose altogether. And that's what we are going to understand today in our video. So first, let's understand what are causative verbs. Causative verbs are the verbs that cause something else to happen. This means that these verbs show that someone else does an action for you. You do not perform an action, rather someone else does it for you. For example, I cleaned my car. So in this sentence, I is the subject, cleaned is the verb, my car is the object. I cleaned my car. So here I am the doer and I did an action of clean. I cleaned the car. Now, if I say I got my car cleaned, so this means that I have not done this. I didn't clean my car, rather I got it cleaned by someone else, by the third person. So I have not done an action, I got it done by some other person. And this is a causative way. When we don't do an action, we get someone else to perform an action for us. Let me give you one more example. I got my hair cut, or I had my hair cut. You can also frame it in future. I will have my hair cut, or I will get my hair cut. So where to use these verbs, in what circumstances or situations, that I'll tell you one by one. So now we have understood why do we use causative verbs to talk about a verb that has not been done by us, that has been performed by someone else for us. When we don't do an action, then we use causative verbs. Now let's look at some different situations where we use these 5 verbs. First situation is paying for service. When you get service and you pay for it. When someone does something for you and you pay for it. So paying for a service. In that case, we can use either have or get. In this situation, have and get, they both have the same meaning. The difference is that have is more formal and get is less formal. Otherwise, in this situation, you can use whichever you want. Have and get, they both have the same meaning. Now let's look at the structure, the word order. So the structure is first the subject and then have or get, and then comes the object, and after object comes the verb, third form of the verb, or you can say past participle form of the verb. So this is the structure that we follow in this situation. Now let's look at some examples. I have my car cleaned every day. This means I don't clean my car every day, rather I get this service from someone else and I pay for it. I have my car cleaned every day. Now this sentence is passive. Okay, we have done active and passive sentences. Active sentences are sentences where the subject does an action. I cleaned the car. So I is the subject and subject has done some work. Okay, so where the subject is the doer of an action, that is an active sentence. Wherein passive sentence is where the object is more important and the object becomes the subject. The car was cleaned by someone. So in passive sentences, the object is more important. We cannot frame a passive sentence without an object, because a passive sentence starts with an object. Object becomes the subject. So the car was cleaned by someone. So the car is the object, was cleaned by someone. So by whom is not important. And that's why these kind of sentences wherein we pay for service, that's not important who is doing that thing. The thing that is important is that you are getting the service and you're paying for it. So the action is important, not the person who is doing that action. That's why these kind of sentences we make in passive and we don't need the doer of that action. I have my car cleaned every day, or I get my car cleaned every day. So subject, then have or get, then the object my car, and then cleaned. Third form of clean is cleaned. So this is the structure of the sentence, and whenever you pay for service, you get a service and you pay for it, then you will frame a sentence this way, either using have or get. I have my jacket dry cleaned, or I get my jacket dry cleaned every month. You can also frame it in past or future. You can use whichever tense you want. It is up to you. You can also frame it in other tenses like I will get my jacket dry cleaned next month. So this is simple future. Or I had got my jacket dry clean. So this is past perfect. So it is up to you how you want to frame it, which tense you want to use. But the basic rule is subject and then have or get and then the object and then third form of the verb. I got my TV repaired last night. I got my TV repaired last night. This is simple past. That's why I'm using second form of get. I got my TV repaired last night. I will have my computer fixed next week. Or I will get my computer fixed next week. So this is simple future. I'm having my car repaired tomorrow. So here I'm using present continuous tense to talk about tomorrow. We have done it. That present continuous can be used to talk about future. I have made a separate video on this, and if you haven't watched it yet, I'll mention the link in description box. You can watch it. So same thing we are doing here. When we have planned something, then we can use present continuous also to talk about future. So here I have planned it that tomorrow I'm having my car fixed, or I'm getting my car fixed. Sometimes you can also frame these kind of sentences without a subject. For example, having my car fixed is really important, or it's high time now. Getting my car fixed is really important. This way, you can frame a sentence without using a subject. Right now, getting my computer repaired is very difficult. So this way, you can frame these kind of sentences without a subject also. In this situation, you can frame sentences using modal verbs also with have or get. For example, I might have my TV repaired tomorrow. So I'm not sure about it. That's why I'm saying I might have my TV repaired tomorrow. You can also say I should have or I should get my TV repaired tomorrow, because it's been so long and this is pending. So I think that tomorrow I should get my TV repaired. Now don't think that you have to frame these kind of sentences with I only. No, you can use different subjects also depending on the situation. For example, he should get his TV repaired tomorrow, or they should get their work done tomorrow. One more thing I want to tell you over here. Whenever we go to a salon or a parlor to get our hair done or nail done or anything related to beauty, then we use the verb do. For example, I got my hair done yesterday, or I had my nail done 4 days back, or we will have our nails done tomorrow. She will have her makeup done in the wedding, or she will get her makeup done in the wedding. So in terms of beauty, we use the verb do. Next situation is when you ask someone to do something for you, or when you give someone responsibility to do something for you. In this case, we use have, not get. But here, the structure is different. When the situation was paying for service, that time who does an action wasn't important, because you get the service and you pay for it. So who is doing it is not important. That's why there we had a different structure. But here in this situation, we need a subject, and who will do the work is important. So that's why we have a different structure in this case. So the structure is subject, then have, then the doer of the action, the one who will perform the action, and then first form of the verb or base form of the verb. So there we used V3, third form of the verb, but in this case, when you ask someone to do something for you, or when you give responsibility to someone, to do something, then this is the structure. Subject, have, doer, and then V1. Now let's look at some examples. I will have my son clean the house. So I is the subject. Will I'm using because we are talking about simple future. You can frame it in simple past or present depending upon the situation. So I have made it in simple future. So I will, then comes have. I will have my son. After have, the doer, the one who will do the action. I will have my son clean the house, not cleaned. Clean the house, first form of the verb. Clean the house. So I will have my son clean the house. This means I'll ask my son to clean the house, or I'll give my son this responsibility to clean the house. She had her sister prepare the presentation. This means she asked her sister to prepare the presentation for her. I'll have Max give you the notes. This means I'll ask Max to give you the notes, or I'll give this responsibility to Max to share the notes with you. So this way, in this situation, we have a different structure, and the causative verb that we can use is have, not get. Next situation is when you have to convince someone to do something for you. Then we use get, and the structure is subject, get, then the doer of the action, and then V1. Same rule as we had with have for responsibility and when you ask someone to do something. So same structure we will follow here also. Subject, get, doer of the action, and first form of the verb. There is a slight change in the structure which is optional, that you can use to before the verb, but it's optional. It is up to you whether you use it or not. Now let's look at some examples. She got her sister prepare the presentation. So this means that she had to convince her sister to prepare the presentation for her. Now this sentence can be framed with to also. She got her sister to prepare the presentation. So both the sentences are correct. Whether you use to or not before the verb, it is up to you. I'll get my parents to buy a dog. This means I will convince my parents to buy a dog. You can also use a modal verb here. For example, I can't get my parents to buy a dog, or I can't get my parents buy a dog. So this means that you cannot convince your parents to buy a dog. So this way you can use all these causative verbs with modal verbs also. You can make negative sentences, you can use different tenses also. But the basic situations I have told you where you can use these causative verbs. So here you just have to keep one thing in mind, that whenever you ask someone to do something for you, or you give a responsibility to someone to do something, then you will use have. And when you convince someone to do something for you, then you will use get. So this is the difference. Next situation is to force someone to do something. So now this can be a physical force, emotional force, or a mental force. First, let's look at the structure. Structure is again same, subject, then make. So here the verb that we use is make. So subject, make, and then the doer of an action, and then first form of the verb. So again the rule is same, the structure is same. Now let's look at some examples. The robbers made me give them my jewelry. So this means that they forced me to give them my jewelry. I always make my son complete his work on time. So this means that my son doesn't do it on time, and for that I have to force him to do it. Her boss makes her work on Saturdays. So this means that her boss forces her to work on Saturdays. So whenever there's a situation to force someone to do something, then we use the verb make, and the structure is subject, make, then doer, and then V1. Next situation is permission, or to allow something to happen. Then we use the verb let, and the structure is again same, subject, then let, then the doer, and then the action or first form of the verb. Now let's look at some examples. Our teachers let us use our phones in the classroom. So our teachers, this is the subject, let us is the doer, let us use first form of the verb. Let us use the phone in the classroom. My friend let me drive his car. So this means my friend allowed me to drive his car. You can also make a negative sentence. My friend didn't let me drive his car. So in all these circumstances or situations, you can make negative sentences also. Sometimes we start the sentence with let. Let the children sleep. Let them complete their work. Let them complete their work. Let the dog come out of the room, or don't let the dog come out of the room. So we can also start a sentence with let, but the situation where we use this verb let is permission, or when you allow something to happen. Last situation is help. The meaning doesn't change here. Help, we all know, help means when you assist someone, that is help. Structure is subject, help, then object and V1, first form of the verb. Here again, to is optional. It is up to you whether you want to use it or not before the verb. In both the cases, the sentence is correct, whether you use it or not. She will help me to bake the cake, or she will help me bake the cake. They both are correct. Max helped me to decorate the house, or Max helped me decorate the house. So this way we use causative verbs when we want someone else to do something for us. We don't perform an action, rather someone else does it for us. So I hope you understood what are causative verbs and how they can be used in different situations. So please practice and share some more causative sentences with me. Please like and subscribe to my channel, Parul English Lab. Don't forget to press the bell icon for future notifications. Thank you, take care, have a great day.